With me now is Leroy Logan, Reach panellist. Leroy, thanks for joining me. Why role modelling? Does it work?
Absolutely, but it's nothing new about role models. We've had role models since time began, but I think we need to recognise there's positive and there's negative role models. If you're fortunate to have positive role models in the home, who give you a sense of hope and inspiration and said, well, you know, you can do whatever you put your mind to, then that puts you in better stead to get on with the challenges of life than if you've got a dysfunctional role model, whether it's in the home, on the street, and they divert you to a negative form of lifestyle.
You were a Reach panellist, you were on the selection committee. How did you select the Reach role models and what criteria was important to you?
Well, the criteria were set by the young people themselves. The young advisors, as we call them, set up the characteristics that they wanted those role models to have. And, you know, they wanted a story that they could relate to, that showed that real determination to succeed against the odds, to strive for excellence, and to be consistently doing so. And they were part of setting up the application form with those skill areas, the selection process of the applications, the sifting process, and also they sat with us as panellists in the interviews.
So they were a link between basically informing you what the young might want.
Well, absolutely. I think they were the reality check, and a couple of times I know the other panellists would agree with me. We as the elder statesmen would say, yeah, I think so. And they said, well, no, that person would relate to me on road, as it were, because, you know, certain things that they just weren't real, and they didn't have that connectability. And I think it's that bridging that gap and being able to connect with the sort of young people was critical.
How many Reach role models are there, and are they monitored?
Yeah, we still have a monitoring group, because one of the recommendations from the Reach report was around having a ministerial oversight, so there's a governance structure, and they are predominantly professional people, not from the sports or arts worlds. They're people who wouldn't normally come above the radar. They have good track record of being role models within their own context, working with other agencies, statutory or voluntary, and they've had a consistent line. And more importantly, they've got a story that young people can connect. And so they're able to say to people, well, if I can do it, you can do it, and people can relate to that.
In practical terms, how are these role models raising aspirations and achievements, and what's been accomplished so far?
Well, I think it's around outreach. You know, that one of the things that they are monitored about is how many young people they connect with, whether it's in a school, whether it's in a conference such as, young black children and the London Child Conference that Diane Abbott brings together, how they do workshops, and also how they're changing the stereotypical view of black men in the media, how those messages are actually turning people's mindset around. So, you know, there's certain testimonies of how young people said, yeah, that role model came to my school or to my youth group. They got me to review my beliefs and values. I didn't have to rely on negative peer groups to get significant self-worth. I want to change my life. I know I can do it. And yes, we can, you know, and I think they build on the Obama factor, that, you know, you can strive for excellence and succeed to be the greatest in your field.
Leroy Logan, thank you so much.
You're welcome.